GB News host Bev Turner hit out at Home Secretary Yvette Cooper this morning after claiming that extreme far-right terrorism remains one of Britain's biggest threats. Reflecting on the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, Cooper penned a piece in a Sunday newspaper on how the nation is tackling terrorism today. The Home Secretary said, "Communities across the nation were determined that hatred would not win. The work done at that time has endured and evolved. Islamist extremist terrorism remains the greatest threat, followed by extreme right-wing terrorism. But we also face threats from hostile states, serious organized crime, cybercriminals, and a rise in individuals radicalized online." Reacting to Cooper's remarks, Britain's newsroom host Bev Turner furiously asked the GB News panel, "What did you make of Yvette Cooper's statement saying we are still under threat from Islamic terrorists, and also the far right? That's not the day to combine those two in that statement, is it?" In agreement with Bev, former Labour Party advisor Matthew Torbett argued, "I think it may have been better worded if she just said we need to be wary of all terrorism on our shores. 75% I think is the amount of cases for Islamic fundamentalism, and I think it's around 30% from the so-called far right. But we need to be aware of all terrorism on our shores." Weighing in on Cooper's remarks, commentator Alex Armstrong pointed out that the people who committed the atrocities of 7/7 were not far right. Armstrong stated, "When it comes to this event and these comments off the back of that, we know it wasn't far-right people who committed the atrocity. This focus on the far right, this thing that doesn't really have a single ideology or a single group to look into, it doesn't sit well with Brits. We need to focus on this big, overwhelming problem of radical Islamism in the country, and I think British people want to talk more openly about that." Highlighting more recent Islamist attacks in Britain, host Andrew Pearce interjected, "Think about the other terrible terror attacks, the Ariana Grande concert. 23 people died, many of them young kids, Islamist terror. We know it was far-right that killed Jo Cox, Labour MP, shocking and appalling, but the other MP who was killed, Sir David Amess, again, an Islamist terrorist." Torbett then responded, "It also shows what can happen with foreign wars, thinking it isn't going to at some point come back to your shores. The 7/7 bombers were brought up here, the Manchester attack, they obviously came here as refugees, but there's obviously an element of these types of people that go, you've done this to where I'm really from, so I'm going to take action. That's the sort of stuff we've got to be wary of."